All right, what's up, everybody? Time for another fun-filled topic for today's podcast. So, today we're going to be talking about what to do when the scale just won't move. All right, so number one, we want to identify if it's even a problem in the first place. And number two, if so, we want to adjust accordingly. So, first off, is it even a big deal? Okay, because a lot of times people focus on these goals and think weight loss is a solution when it really isn't, or it's not necessarily the prime mover that we need to focus on. Okay, so identifying your real goal first and foremost is the biggest thing that we want to do. Because if we can do that, you don't need to obsess over a number because a lot of our goals are not tied to a specific number on the scale, assuming that we're not some competitive athlete that needs to make weight, because that is literally the only thing that actually requires a specific number. Okay. Nobody walks around with a sign that shows their body weight. And I hope you guys can see this on YouTube. But if you're listening on the podcast and you're not watching, I put a lot of time and effort into this graphic, a whole 10 minutes. But basically, there's two people holding up one sign each. One says, I currently weigh 130 pounds. And the one right next to it says, no one gives a shit, because no one truly does. Is it inspiring and motivational in the moment to see somebody just like you lose weight and say they're this much? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's like, cool, now what? 130 doesn't mean a whole lot. It doesn't tell us what you can do physically. It doesn't tell us about your health, because your blood work can be absolute shit if you lost that in a really bad way. Okay. There's a lot of other things that need to be considered and a lot of other things that need to be measured to safely assume that, hey, that's what you want. Okay, so let's figure out what that real goal is. What exactly does that weight get you? What can you do at that weight, and how will your life be different at that weight? And then when you can identify the answer to that, that's your real goal. So if it's running around with your kids without getting winded, I'll tell you right now, if you have like a 50-pound goal to lose, like say you're 200 and you want to be 150, you're probably going to experience that within the first month or two, and you might not even lose any weight, but you're still going to be able to run around with your kids. Now, are you going to feel good about that because that was your actual number one goal, or are you going to feel like shit because it wasn't reflected on the scale? That's a big question to ask yourself. Okay, there's a lot of really big questions that are not being addressed. So figure out exactly what you're chasing. Now, many goals that I hear from on a daily basis when I talk to people on strategy calls, when I talk to clients when they first start up, is that basically they need more muscle and they need less fat. So when it comes down to that, like when it comes to improving insulin sensitivity for people that are either pre-diabetic or actually diabetic, having more muscle and less body fat will help them to process carbs more efficiently and potentially even reverse type 2 diabetes, hopefully, if they're able to. Okay. Or let's say somebody just like wants to feel better and their joints are really painful. Okay. Guess what helps with that? Building muscle around those joints to help support that joint and reducing the amount of pressure by reducing the amount of body fat. Things like that. A lot of health issues can be improved by building lean body mass like muscle and burning that body fat. So, how the heck do we do that? Number one is strength train. Strength training is top of the top of the top for improving body composition. When it comes to building the most muscle and burning the most fat while on a diet, nothing beats strength training. And if you hear anything different, chances are they're just trying to sell you something, because the research does not support anything other than strength training as the number one top dog. Now, should you do cardio? Absolutely. Like there's a saying that strength training will help you live a high quality life and cardio will help you live a longer life. So if you want a longer, high quality life, do both. Okay. But ideally not at the same time. If you have to, sure. But if you want the most bang for your buck, if you do want to chase the ultimate goal, it is nice to break them up. But that's a topic for a different podcast. You can check out the one I just did last week on exercise variety, and I'll just contradict everything I just said. Okay, it's a jumble of conflicting opinions that basically you just figure out what's right for you and run with it. All right. And then number two, so we got number one is strength train to build that muscle, burn the body fat. And number two is making sure that you're in a calorie deficit or maintenance so that you are eating the right amount of calories to where you're not putting on fat. Okay. So when you do this, what can you expect? Number one is not much weight loss. if any, assuming you're eating enough calories. Because if you do starve yourself, you're going to lose a lot of weight really fast. But a lot of that weight is going to be lean muscle tissue, and it's going to be harder to keep the weight off. And it's going to be more likely that you gain all the weight right back. That's why when you see people losing super fast, the average person cheers them on like, oh my God, you're so great. You're doing incredible. And meanwhile, the professionals are sitting back like, shit, I don't want to be the one to tell them, but just so you guys know. Okay. And then when most people do this correctly and they lose weight at a sustainable rate, or they don't lose any weight at all, it leads to frustration and quitting, even though they're doing all the right things. Okay. So what's the deal? The big thing that we want to focus on and we want to understand is the fact that pound for pound, fat takes up more space than muscle. Because when, say, for example, you hop on the scale, your clothes fit better, and you're fully expecting that weight to be lower, but it isn't, you just did what's called a recomp. You basically burned off fat and put on as much muscle at the exact same time, which is what you want. You want to maximize muscle growth and you want to maximize body fat burning if you are in the place where burning body fat is healthy for you. Okay. You can go too low on that. Don't get me wrong. Like if somebody listening right now, especially a lady, is like chasing the teens when it comes to body fat, you don't want to lose any more. Okay. There is an optimal range and you want to focus on what that optimal range is. So for ladies, it's like having a body fat percentage in the low 20%, mid 20%, maybe even upper, depending on your genetics and uh, ethnicity and things like that. And then when it comes to muscle, there's really no upper end doing it naturally. Now, are you going to see people that maximize that like crazy that are genetic freaks? Absolutely. But they're like the 1% of the 1%. Most people just need to focus on building the most muscle possible. Because when this happens, when you increase muscle and burn body fat at the exact same rate, you could weigh exactly the same, but look night and day different. And that night and day difference is a very good indicator that you probably improved your health substantially or made it worse, depending on which end of that you're on. So when it comes to the metrics, we really want to focus on number one, how your clothes fit. That is one of the best indicators of seeing, did I burn body fat and build muscle? Because if your clothes fit better, or let's say you took it to that next level and got body circumference measurements and you see those measurements go down, but you weigh the same, you can confidently assume that you burned body fat and gained muscle. All right. Next is performance during workouts. If you're doing more repetitions, if you're able to lift heavier weights, if you are doing the exact same workout, but it's substantially easier, then that's a good tell that, hey, you're building muscle. And then number three is hitting your real goals. Focus on those real things. Are you able to run around with your kids without feeling like you got to gasp for air or like you're going to die? Okay. Are you able to go to the mailbox without feeling like it's a chore, like it's a laborious thing to do and you're like sucking wind? Okay. Are you better off when it comes to your blood work? Did you drive down your A1C? Is your blood pressure better? Are things like this under the hood that are actually going to help you live longer? Are they better? If so, keep going. You're doing the right things. Fuck the scale. Sorry for my language. I apologize if you're listening with children around, but I cannot be more adamant about this topic. Okay. Weight Watchers and these methods of the 70s, 80s, 90s had everybody hyper fixated on the scale, and mentally they completely trashed everybody. And now we're playing catch up. So please, 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 please say fuck the scale. Please. It's a data point, nothing more. Now, what if nothing is improving? So, like, let's say you are working out, you're eating what you think you should be eating, and nothing is changing. Clothes fit exactly the same, the scale weight is exactly the same, or maybe even higher. Okay. If that is the case, there's two questions to ask yourself. Number one, how long have I been in this plateau? Because if the answer is in weeks, you're not doing it long enough. Okay. Bare minimum to see if there's any changes is at least 1 month. Bare minimum. And if you can't last that long without falling off the wagon, then that's a really good conversation to have with yourself. Why are you so impatient? Okay. That is a very big thing that throws a lot of people off. And it very well could be a conversation for a mental health professional, because if you can't hold on for a month just doing the basic stuff without completely sabotaging your progress, then that probably is an issue. And if you can figure that out, then that might be what's in your way. And then you figure it out, bang, you're right on the track to making progress. And then number two is, have I been consistent? Which kind of leads into number one too, but have you actually been consistent? because consistency is 99.9999999 repeating of people's real problem. You can't put in a D or an F effort and expect an A. Okay, so most people's report cards kind of look similar to this. When it comes to tracking, they get like 4 out of 7 days where they really track everything to a T. Monday through Thursday, solid. But then Friday hits, they don't really track that glass of wine at happy hour, or they don't really track that dinner out with their significant other. And then Saturday, Johnny's got a game. We grabbed something on the road. I didn't really know how to put it in. And then Sunday, well, I felt like crap. I figured, oh, the whole week is shot. So why bother? And now I'm back starting up on Monday. But I tracked everything on Monday. Doesn't really matter. You still got an F. Okay. 4 out of 7 is a 57%. When it comes to workouts, we got 3 scheduled. 3 is going to get you in a really good spot, but you only did 1. Okay. Is 1 good enough to maintain? Absolutely. But it's not really that much. It's usually not enough for people to build muscle. So we have 1 out of 3 workouts in a week. That's 33%. That's an F. When it comes to nutritional quality, eating the foods that you know are going to leave you feeling full, that are going to leave you feeling more energized, that are going to improve your health, we're 50-50. Like breakfast is hit or miss. It's usually something just grab and go, not necessarily nutritious. At lunchtime, it's leftovers. So it could be good, could be bad. And then dinner time, that's when I get my meat and veg and my starch. Like that, like dinner time is rock solid, Monday through Thursday. So if we're going 50-50, that's an F. And then honesty. Are you honestly sticking to the plan? Are you honestly doing everything that you're saying you're doing? And this really comes down to tracking, because without tracking, you don't have an honest tell. A lot of us we overestimate how consistent we are, and we underestimate how many calories that we consume and how little we actually move. And this is the real issue. People want to pinpoint and say it's the hormones, it's this chemical, it's this, it's that. But nobody ever wants to take a hard look at, am I actually even executing enough to really get a good tell of if this works for me or not? Sorry. Okay. But that all being said, I'm not here to judge, and I want to give you some good news. This is amazing news because you're in control of your results. If this is the case, like if your report card looks like that, then it's real simple. Let's just flip the script and figure out why we can't do those things. Okay. Find the bottleneck. What is the thing that's holding you back from doing the basics? Okay. That's literally what I do in the Fit 40 program. We're literally just finding bottlenecks and figuring out why the heck can we not get protein, fiber, and color at every single meal? Why? Okay, you got this going on in your life, that going on in your life. All right, let's figure this out. Did that work? Awesome. Did it not? Cool. Let's try this. And that repetitive process over and over again is what people need to actually be going through, not what's this new supplement that promises to fix everything. Or, oh, I just got to go to my doctor and they're going to give me some weight loss meds because I just can't be bothered to learn what I need to learn. Okay, so again, not judging, just saying you are in control if this is the case. Okay. So if you are consistent, let's say like none of that really applied to you. You're busting your ass in the gym, you're eating the right things, you're eating the right amount of calories, and you're still not seeing anything. Okay. Check your numbers to make sure you're in a calorie deficit first and foremost. Sometimes people just have the wrong numbers, or like they go by these calculators, and these calculators don't represent them as an individual, and they don't adjust it based on what they're seeing, because a lot of these calculators, when it comes to the calories, are our best guess. It's not an exact science. Sometimes people need less, and that's just the way it is. And that's usually how it is when people have less muscle. Okay. So when you are under muscled, you require less calories than somebody at your exact same weight who has more muscle. So, and when these things ask you for your information, all they do is ask you for your height, your weight, and your gender. So it's really not that precise, and you do have to adjust. But that being said, when you adjust, don't go too low, because if you end up going below your basal metabolic rate or getting close to it most of the time, then that's going to lead to issues where you feel low energy, low libido, you just feel like crap overall. So for most people, instead of reducing calories, it's usually a better idea to up activity, especially step count. Step count is like that secret superpower that coaches have, where it's like, okay, we're going to up this by like 1 to 2K, and then bang, all the weight starts coming off. And you're just like, I'm a wizard. What can I say? I don't know. Okay. So if you want to use our special tips and tricks that a lot of people don't talk about, use that. And number two is test yourself in the gym. A lot of people think they're working really, really hard when they're actually way like capable of doing way more. So one of my favorite things that I used to do, I got away from it a little bit, but I kind of want to bring it back, is in the programming, doing your last set on a main lift, like a big lift, something like a squat, a push up, a pull down, a row, a deadlift, something where it's a compound lift, and just testing yourself. Actually, you know what? Screw that. It doesn't even have to be a compound lift. It could literally be anything. This is more of a test of understanding how close you are to failure, because ideally we want to be 1 to 2 reps shy of true mechanical failure, not where we push into bad pain, not where all of a sudden like it starts to burn, because just because it burns doesn't mean that you're there yet. And that's why you want to take this last set to absolute failure. So pick an exercise that feels good, like you've never really had any issues with it, your joints don't really bother you on it, and just go as long as you possibly can until your muscles physically cannot go anymore. Now, fair warning, this will make you very sore, but it will teach you one of the most valuable lessons there are, and that is understanding how close you are to failure and what kind of stimulus you're actually getting from your workouts. Because if you say, hey, I'm going to get 10 squats. And you do that for your first couple of sets. And then on the very last set, you're like, all right, I'm going to do as many as I can. I feel like I've been using enough weight. And instead of 10, you get 20 or 30. You have had weeks and months and maybe even years of non-stimulating workouts. And if you're not stimulating muscle growth, then muscle is not going to grow. Okay. So if you haven't done it already, test yourself. Have some fun with it. And then when your legs are absolutely crushed and you feel like death, message me and tell me how it went. And if you check all the boxes, like you definitely work out hard enough, everything is sound, and you should be losing weight or losing inches or some sort of change should be happening, go to the doctor. Okay. Maybe you have something underlying where it's holding you back. And honestly, this is why everybody should see the doctor before they get on a weight loss journey or a fat loss journey, and why you should see them every 6 to 12 months for blood work and things like that, because maybe they'll catch something that'll actually help you along your journey, that'll make it worthwhile and get you to the goal that will make you happy. So if you haven't seen the doc in forever, make that appointment today. And if the doctor says you're fine, I inserted again, you guys got to see this on YouTube. I'm very proud of these infographics and these memes and everything. But if anybody has seen the David Beckham Be Honest meme, there's one here that says Victoria Beckham on the left, tracking macros doesn't work. And David Beckham says, be honest. And she says, I am being honest. And he says, how long did you try? And it says 2 weeks and the scale didn't move. So I quit. And he goes, thank you. Okay. Great documentary if you guys haven't seen Beckham. But anyway, it gets back to the honesty thing. A lot of us just want to live in this delusion where it's like, I'm doing all the right things. I've tried everything. When in reality, you haven't tried everything and executed properly. So if you can't execute 7 days a week, 365 days a year, then you don't have a sustainable plan. And that unsustainable plan is giving you these skewed results and these skewed ideas that are like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm broken. I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, no, that's not the case. It's the fact that you got to find a plan that you can actually stick to long enough to actually have some sort of an honest judgment of how your body is responding. And that's what so many people are missing right now. All right. So if that is you, just know this is the stuff we talk about in the Fit 40 family. And there's daily tips like this every damn day to help you along your journey and stay consistent and stay on the wagon. So if you're not already in there, get your butt in there. We run some challenges based on this stuff every single month for free, and you get prizes. So if you're not already, get in there. Okay. And then if you want, like I said, this is literally what we do for the Fit 40 online coaching, is hammering these issues out and figuring out why the heck we can't do the basics. And then when you can, your results are insane. It happens every single time. Every time somebody does put in the work and communicates well, it's a guarantee you're going to lose 10 to 20 pounds of pure body fat in that first 3 months. I swear, I really struggle to say guarantee, but it's like clockwork. So if that sounds good to you and you want to figure this stuff out and get that personal touch and accountability, go check out the Fit 40 online coaching, the Kickstart down in the description, the show notes, and just give it a look. If you want, we can set up a call and see if it's right for you. You can literally just set up a call to figure out what it's about. And I swear, I will not pressure you in any direction. I just want to help you figure out what's best for you. And if it's coaching, awesome. And if it's not, I've got so many friends in the industry that I'm happy to send you to that have other awesome programs and resources and things like that. But that's it for today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in all the way through. Those of you that did stick around, I hope you got a lot out of it. And my only ask is that if anything resonated with you and you thought of somebody in your life where they're like, damn, they really need to hear this, go ahead and send it their way. Tell them I say hi. All right. So again, thank you very much. Go kick some ass, and I will see you next time.